Okay, so today's replay analysis will be actually a pretty special one because we're going to focus exclusively on the laning stage of Vici Gaming versus Virtus Pro in the latest major. We're going to be taking a look at how Yang, the offlane player, actually played up against a tri-lane from Virtus Pro as a solo offlaner. So it's a very common problem in pubs when you're the offlaner and you go up against a very strong enemy tri-lane and they just keep tri-laning you no matter what you do or what your team does. So his team actually ended up winning this game, and I believe he himself didn't even die that many times. He only has like 3 deaths total. So we'll see how he manages to navigate this challenging laning phase and see if we can pick up any tips and tricks for soloing versus multiple heroes in the offlane. Alright, let's not have any broadcasters. And we should probably skip the draft. Alright.
Was that intentional? It looked intentional.
So this is a pretty good game to watch actually because firstly it's a competitive game. So the supports would definitely know how to play a tri-lane properly, and it'll be much more difficult facing a professional tri-lane than a tri-lane in pubs. So whatever that Yang does in this game would really help in pubs as well. So we can see that he's already solo top. He is playing Brewmaster. It's a hero who is not exactly the tankiest hero in the game. He started off with a stock shield and a lot of regen. So if you know that you're not going to get any help in the offlane, you will want to load up on as much regen as possible. He actually has 9 tangles and a healing salve. So that's actually a crazy amount of regen. Doesn't even bother with the mangoes because he knows that he probably wouldn't even be aggressive in this lane anyway. So the itemization is very important if you're solo. Definitely want to overload on tangles. So he's actually making a play for the rune here. Actually gets the rune for some reason. No idea where VP was. Oh yeah, that's because they were waiting for him. Okay. So yeah, he got jebaited. It takes the first point in the Drunken Brawler but still goes down. So that was already next level play by Virtus Pro there. They were camping his own rune as he went to take theirs. And they got a first blood on him. He actually buys a Smoke of Deceit, and he is probably going to use this to walk over to to steal the crit wave over here. But as you can see, Roger, who is on Nyx Assassin, I think. Let's see. Yeah, Roger was waiting for him over at this area. So VP really know how to all the tricks that offlaners would use to survive a hard lane. So let's just go back a little bit and talk a bit more about this Smoke of Deceit because I think it's really interesting. So you notice that the moment he respawns from the death, he actually buys a Smoke of Deceit. Let's see, he bought it himself and he TPs back to the lane. And actually this is a really mind-blowing play that I've never ever seen before, never done this before. And probably what he wants to do with this is he's gonna pop the smoke and he's gonna walk all the way from here. Look at my mouse cursor. He's gonna move all the way from here to around here or even here to cut the creep wave, and so that he will stack up all the creeps over here, TP back into his tower, and then let a giant triple wave push into his tower for easy EXP. So his idea was ingenious, but Nyx Assassin was unfortunately waiting for him, and he pings him out and he's like, oh come on guys, really? So now that his plan is foiled, he goes back and does something else that you can do instead of smoking and cutting the wave. If these options is not available, like what the supports from VP are doing, you can just go back and start blocking up the next crit wave and try your best to let the range crit go in front. So he's trying really hard Trying very, very hard to get the range creep in front, because if you do this, the range creep will die fast and the enemy creep wave will push into your tower. So as an offlaner, you always want the enemy creep wave to be pushing into you so that you can get some extra EXP, especially if you are solo versus tri-lane. Okay, so when he comes to the lane, the first thing he does is he immediately clicks on the Troll Warlord there to draw the creep aggro, so that's why the creeps are now actually moving over to him. This allows you to last hit more effectively while also messing up the enemy's last hitting as well. It also helps to screw up the lane equilibrium so that you can get an even safer time CSing. So he does it again. He keeps clicking on the Troll Warlord to draw the aggro, and he is still drawing the aggro, trying to pull at least one creep over. And now he activates the Drunken Brawler to try to crit off of the creeps. Unfortunately, the Troll Warlord uses the Whirling Axis, so it screws up his last hitting attempts. But you get the idea. You always want to do this in a hard lane. You want to click on the enemy carry or the support as long as you got vision, and the crit wave will move to attack you. This would put them out of the attack range and deny range of the enemy, and it should theoretically give you an easier time last hitting. So because of what he did, the crit wave, let me just go to free camera here, the crit wave is actually pushing forward into him because he's screwing up the equilibrium so much just by clicking on the enemy. The crit wave is really unbalanced in his favor. There are two range creeps on the enemy side pushing into his tower here, so he's gonna have a very easy time actually getting some EXP under the tower. So he's still level 1, but he's almost at level 2 already. He pops the south in the safety of his tower, and he's just gonna wait for the creeps to come over here and actually get probably level 2.5 out of this. We'll see. So the moment the creeps meet under the tower, he still continues drawing aggro because he doesn't want the troll to be able to contest his last hits. So he draws the creeps closer under his tower so that he can get all the last hits here. He tried to use his first skill to get the range creep CS there, but unfortunately he missed because he doesn't have a Quelling Blade. His damage is a little bit low, but you know, you get the idea. You want to use your skills to secure as much CS as possible. Doesn't matter that you don't hit the troll at all, because you're just trying to get as much CS as possible. So he is still maintaining the crit equilibrium here. Probably gonna draw the aggro again. See, he does it right again to make the creeps go closer to his tower so that he can at least get some CS. Manages to get one there. And we'll see if he uses the... Oh, he actually wanted to use the Thunderclap for this, but he held off on it. It's about 100 damage. He definitely could have gone for it, but maybe he wanted to save it for later. Because he doesn't have a mango, his mana is pretty important. He goes in to scout and sees Solo pulling the creeps over to the camp. So another trick you can do as an offlaner when you're being denied XP and the creeps by enemy pulls is you can just go to stand around the camp that is being taken by the enemy creeps, and then you will get EXP. Oops, yeah, let's go back. Yeah, so that's something you can do if you cannot contest the pull, or you just really can't do anything because the carry is standing to pressure you. Now that the Disruptor is approaching the pull timing, he goes in to take the aggro of the neutral creeps by attacking them. So this is something you can do as well to contest a pull. So just now he did the first method, which is to stand around the camp which is being pulled into to get free EXP. Now the more direct approach to counter this is to actually go in and steal the creeps instead. But he is not very confident of this play right now because he suspects something is up. So he decides to just take the long way around back to lane. So this method of contesting the pulls is probably going to work in pubs more because the supports are not going to be coordinated enough with the carry to actually stop you from contesting or soaking EXP from the pool. So that's something you can definitely try if the enemy insists on pulling and pulling to deny you EXP over and over again. What you can do is just soak and contest the pool with your hero. So now that he's level 3, he scouts out the rune for his mid laner. Might actually be thinking of gank attempt on the Pengo here, but it's not successful. So no one actually tips him. Pretty BM in my opinion. And he tips him back because why not? And now he just goes back to lane because the creeps are pushing into his tower. Uses the Thunderclap once again to secure the CS. So with the way he's playing, which is just right clicking the creeps and just being very safe in general, you will eventually be able to reach a state where you can just be left alone pretty much. The supports will find out that, well, we're wasting our time with this guy, he is not feeding us, might as well just go to another lane. So of course it helps that his team is making a decent amount of space. As I say that, he's getting dove under the tower here, and the supports are coming for him. So yeah, he dies here. But the idea is there. You wanna be as safe as possible in a tri-lane. You definitely don't want to be the one just going over and over into the lane and feeding, because that's just doing what the enemy wants. You want to do plays like messing up the crit equilibrium by right-clicking the creeps, and also buying a smoke, trying to cut the creep wave, basically doing everything you can to throw a, mess up the enemy's plan, because you don't want to give them an easy lane just by feeding or playing passively. You want to be very annoying. You want to like contest their pulls, you want to soak the EXP from the pulls, you want to block your creeps, you want to continuously draw aggro. All these things, they will help. As we can see, it actually helps. So eventually the supports will just lose interest in you, and even if they don't, it's a freaking tri-lane, or dual lane versus one hero, so that means they are weaker in the other parts of the map. And as you can see, he is now alone. He can just use Thunderclap to keep farming the range creep, which is the most important creep in the lane. Alright, so we'll just continue on and see how he does here. Pretty much he is just getting levels right now. Alright, so I guess that's all we can gain from this laning stage. I'm just going to load up another replay where he also was solo in the offlane, and we'll see how he handles that one. Okay, so welcome back. We are now in another game in the VG versus VP Grand Final series, and this is another game where Yang, the offlaner for Vici Gaming, is solo offlane against a dual offlane from the enemy team. His supports are both at the bottom here, so they're doing a defensive tri-lane, and we'll just see how he plays this laning stage, and if we can see any more tricks that he employs to actually come out ahead, or at least to survive and get the EXP and gold in this hard lane. So the runes are spawning. He is playing an offlane Vengeful Spirit, so definitely not the most tanky hero here. He gives it on the rune, gives it to the enemy because his team can secure the bottom one. So they're still pretty much... oh no, they actually lost one rune, so yeah. Yikes. But no worries. We're here for the laning stage. So we'll see what happens here. So he hides in the trees just to make sure that there's not a tri-lane here. He's actually hiding in the trees to get some scouting information. Sometimes when you show yourself too early in the lane, the supports just wrap around or come off on the trees, and then they just gank you and then you feed first blood. So what he's doing here is he is just staying in EXP range while in the trees and making the supports show themselves first, because once you have this vision of supports, you can adjust your game plan and adjust your playstyle accordingly. So this is actually a pretty good tip. If you're going into a lane and you're not sure if there's gonna be 1 or 2 supports waiting for you, just hide into the trees. No need to go into the lane the first thing that when the creeps meet. You can just hide first, let the support show themselves, and then you can adjust your playstyle. So he is getting scouted out by the Shadow Poison. Solo is looking for him here, and he leaves his hiding spot to actually probably cut the creep wave. Since he's solo, there's no point staying in the trees there. Okay, so what he did there was using his Wave of Terror to try to cut the creeps as they entered the enemy tower. So he is drawing the aggro from the safety of the trees here with his range spell, but if your hero doesn't have a spell that can draw creep aggro, you just want to walk into the creep wave and get aggro on them. So he aggroes the wave, and he is probably gonna die because he's got 5. Oh no, he's not gonna die because he has a stick. Okay, alright, so let's back it up a bit. When the laning phase started, he went all the way into the trees on the left hand side here to hide and wait for the supports to show themselves. And then he saw that the enemy team has a Shadow Demon, and he predicted correctly that it will most likely be top. So he went ahead and bought the stick with his first few gold in the game, and now the stick enabled him to actually contest the Shadow Demon for the creep aggro here and survive the Shadow Poison with the 5 stacks. So he's drawing the creep aggro all the way into his high ground here, and they might actually turn on solo here. Or not. Okay, so this is the right way to pull creeps. In the previous section, in the previous game, we didn't manage to see Yang manage to pull off the creep cutting trick. But once you're able to do it, you want to bring your creeps in between the tier 1 and the tier 2 so that you can last hit in between the tower. So you do this when it's a very hard lane, and in pubs it will be much more successful because most of the time the supports wouldn't know what the hell to do, and you just get easy EXP and gold. His Earth Spirit actually TP'd in to help him out here, but now he's probably just gonna roam somewhere else. So this game illustrates a pretty interesting tip in addition to the previous game on how to approach a solo off lane. You can just hide in the trees, wait for the supports to show themselves, and then make your move to cut the creep wave, and then you can just get like easy EXP. So once again, he is going to draw the creep aggro by clicking on the enemy carry so that the creeps move closer to him. So this is something that he always does. You always want to keep doing this. It's your most effective strategy for contesting last hits in lane. Very nice double dodge by the PL. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the this game, I think. Now that the Earth Spirit is laning together with him, it's not considered a solo offlane anymore. But we managed to see some really nice plays coming out from him to try to survive in a hard lane for the first few waves. So we're going to take a look at one last game and see how he plays that one in a solo offlane setting. Alright, so we're back in the third and final game of this replay segment. And in this game, Yang is playing Darkseer in the offlane. So the early game was pretty good for him. He initially started out with both of his supports with him, and they made a play to contest the runes. They got 2 kills, and now his supports have moved bottom. They just killed off Pasha in the on their off lane, safe lane, and now they have left him alone against Shadow Shaman, Shadow Demon, and an Anti-Mage. So we'll see how he plays the lane from here, and we'll see if we can pick up anything new that he does to survive. So he's once again doing something that we've seen in one of the previous matches. Once the lane is too far forward and there's nothing you can do about it, you want to keep going back to your creeps as they spawn and try to block them up as much as possible so they can delay the waves from meeting too close to the enemy side. So this is one way that you can use to reset the equilibrium. So we can see him doing it right here. So he has done it for 2 games already. This is not by chance. So it's definitely a legitimate strategy for you to do if the lane is difficult. You can always go back to your creep wave and block it up. And now that the enemy is pulling, he's doing another one of the tricks that we saw in the previous game as well. He's actually moving in to contest them. You don't want to be passive about this. You want to always be looking out for the supports who are trying to pull, and then you want to screw up the pull. So he's actually moving forward to cut the creep wave. Fortunately, he's playing a Dux here, and he has Surge, but I think he dies here. Yep, he dies here. Okay, so the intention was correct. Once you see the enemy pulling, there's another wave that's coming in. You want to start cutting the wave, especially if you're solo. So this is something that he has done in every single one of the games that we've seen. Always cutting the creep wave when you're alone versus 2 or more heroes. Doesn't matter if you die, you are probably going to make the creep wave push anyway. We'll see that happen in a moment. So the moral of the story is never ever be passive as a solo offlaner. You never want to not do anything in the lane. You always want to contest the pull. You want to block up your creeps. You want to just harass, not harass, but right click the enemy to draw aggro of the creep wave, mess up the equilibrium. You want to cut the wave relentlessly, and we're going to see it pay off right here.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
So he goes around the side, he tries to look for where the Shadow Shaman is. Right now he is not able to walk forward to draw aggro of the creeps. But look at what happened. Because he made the play to delay the creep wave over here and dying at this part here, in the end the enemy gets 2 ranged creeps which are now pushing into his tower. So he's gonna get some free and easy EXP. So dying is not bad in a sense. Just don't feed, but always die for a reason. You want to die so that you can make the creep wave push into you, so that you can get some juicy creeps and EXP. So there we go. Goes back to block off the creep at the same time while waiting for the creeps to enter your tower. So in the downtime that the creep wave was coming into his tower, you want to actually not stand around and wait for it to come to you. You want to actually go back and block your creeps even more so that you can have the creep wave right underneath your tower like we're gonna see here. However, the enemy supports are really really smart, and they are actually pulling the creeps into the large camp over here. So so he does what we saw him do in another game, which is to contest the pull. So once again he goes in and tries to contest the pull right here. Uses the search to get away. But look what he's doing. He is pushing his creep wave into the enemy tower here, and then at the same time he is contesting the pull over here. So he gave Ramses a choice. Does Ramses want to blink over here and contest him, or does he want to last hit? So Ramses came over to contest him. They didn't even manage to kill him, so he made Ramses miss all of the CS over here. Not only that, because his creep wave is pushing into the enemy tower, the tower's gonna kill off his creep wave. Enemy creep wave is somewhere around here. it's gonna end up pushing back into his tower. So he is actually getting the better end of the trade. And not only that, the 2 range creeps are still here. So he's gonna get a shit ton of EXP once all of these creep waves converge into his tower. So we're gonna see that in a moment. So yeah, contesting the pool, always a priority. And now you see a giant wave actually moving into his tower. So he's gonna get a lot of EXP out of this. Gets 2 range creep CS, which is huge. And now, because of the creep wave that we saw go into the enemy tower, the enemy creep wave is actually coming over to him. We're gonna see that again. So while waiting for the creep wave to go to his tower, he decides to just go and farm up this camp here. So yeah, Yang is displaying some really good offlane techniques here. We've seen it being done in all 3 games that we watched. Now that the bounty runes are spawning, he's contesting it. Yep, Fate manages to get it. They shrine up, and they're just probably gonna go back to the lane. Yep, so once again the creep waves is pushing into his tower because of all the things that he has done. And yep, pretty much. So that's how he manages to break even, or at least get the maximum amount of value out of solo lane. And I'm just gonna pause off the replay here because I doubt there's yeah, much else to discuss actually. And I'm gonna end off with summary. Alright, so summary time. Okay, so Vici won VP 3-2 in these finals, and I'm pretty sure most of it is because of the way Yang plays. I think he's a very solid offlaner who has many tricks up his sleeve to contest 2 or even 3 enemy heroes in his lane. So in the first game, when he was playing Brewmaster, we saw how he actually bought a smoke to try to go behind the enemies and cut the wave. So that was scouted out by the VP supports, but it's definitely something you can do as a offlaner in your pubs, because there's no way that pub supports are that smart to try to catch you when you're smoking and cutting the wave. So that's option number 1, which also leads us to option number 2, which is to always cut the creep wave if you have the opportunity as a solo offlaner versus multiple supports, because you can see through all the games that it created so much EXP and disrupted the lane equilibrium so much that he was able to get a decent amount of EXP and gold. Option number 3 is to always go back into your creep wave and block it up, which he has done multiple times across all the games. You want to go back in any downtime you have. Let's say the supports are zoning you from the wave, doesn't matter, just go and block up your creeps so that they meet closer to your tower, and then you can get EXP that way. And then once you're in the lane, option number 4, you can just keep right clicking the enemy heroes to make the creeps move towards you, and then you can just keep drawing aggro of the creeps so that you can get some easy EXP. Option number 5, when the supports are pulling, just go in and soak the EXP, steal the last hits, cut the wave. You know, you can do this solo, doesn't matter if you die. We've seen it multiple times, especially in this game. That doesn't matter if you die while trying to contest the pool and cut the wave will just keep pushing back into you, and then you can get even more EXP. So dying really doesn't matter, but once again, of course, just don't feed. And that's about it. So this was really informative, and this is a very high level game. It's a tournament, it's a professional match after all. But I strongly believe that all the tips that we have seen Yang display in these 3 games will be very useful in our pubs as offlaners. So hope everyone has learned as much as I have. Definitely will be looking forward to practicing all these tricks in my games, especially the smoke and cutting creep trick. And yep, see you guys in the next analysis.